I'm 59 years old, and I don't know when this hit me, but there was a time, there was a certain point in my life where I realized, hey, this is what it is. This is as good as it gets. You're basically you're in this system. You have to suck it up. You have to suck up to your bosses. You have to do things you don't want to do every day. Work for people you don't want to work for every day. And maybe if you're really lucky, you have enough at the end of it all that they're not going to throw you in some nursing home.
I retired about a year and a half ago. I'm 56 and a half, and I retired at 55. But the truth is, I can't really afford to live this way.
Don't retire early.
Continue working as long as you can.
I just wish I could have worked longer. It really would have helped us.
I lost my job. I was sort of forced into retirement. I went from hoping I live a really long time to being worried that I will outlive my savings. It's not a great way to feel.
I tried to return to part-time work recently. No one's hiring, or if they are, they're not looking for people my age.
It's challenging to get a job when you're in your 60s.
I don't know if it's my age, but I rarely ever hear back from anybody.
I tried my best to look as young as possible. I don't feel very marketable at this point.
Honestly, I think they really don't want an old guy who's going to have to take a day off to go to the doctor.
I had a college degree and great office skills, but employers wanted a cute 20-something at the front desk.
They tell us to just invest. But how do you invest when you can't even afford groceries? Groceries doubled, rent and mortgage unaffordable, utilities, gas, taxes through the roof. Every dollar today is spent just trying to survive. There's nothing left to invest. Just save and invest.
I retired about a year and a half ago. I'm 56 and a half, and I retired at 55 with not quite enough money to live off of. But, you know, how much would you pay to not have to work? I've got a good routine going. I'm doing the yoga and the walking, and I'm working on my novels. And it's been awesome. It's been great. I love it. But the truth is, I can't really afford to live this way. And so every once in a while, I think about, I should get a part-time job or, get out of the house and do other stuff. And the truth is, I feel like I'm still recovering from my work life, and I don't really want to do anything else. And I understand that I'm paying for that by being poor, but you know what? It's worth it.
You know, the first thing that comes to my mind about this is that she might be sacrificing her future self, because she is what? She said 56 and a half, which is not that old. Assuming she has another, let's say 30, 40, even 50, let's say 40 years left in her life, 96 and a half. And she's already saying she's poor now. Just imagine how she's going to be when she's at that age. Now, of course, she'll be able to collect Social Security at that time, and maybe she'll tap into some retirement accounts when she's 59 and a half. But the problem is she's not putting any money into those accounts any longer, or into the account any longer, or adding years towards her Social Security benefits by working, because she's retired a little bit early, which can be a bit scary. It can be a bit of a risk because, yeah, she's kind of burnt out, it seems, and she's taking time to herself now. But she didn't retire early with a big nest egg. She retired early, and in her words says she's poor.
Open up a Roth IRA and learn how to invest.
Don't pile up debt.
I would tell myself to hold on to my investment portfolio.
Save more and give less.
Your home is one of your biggest assets. Protect it.
So the first lady retired early, and she said she's living poor and she doesn't have enough money to retire. And the reason I'm putting this video up is because a lot of these people here are talking about how they wish they would have done things differently when they were a little bit younger to help themselves out now that they're in retirement age.
It's way better if you plan something way ahead of time than wait till the end like we have.
We didn't realize that Social Security would be so little.
So again, another point going to the first person. She did not realize how Social Security will be so little, yet the woman before, who's 50, what she said, 56 and a half, by the time she gets to the point where she can start collecting Social Security, it's going to be even less than these people.
Don't retire early.
Continue working as long as you can.
I just wish I could have worked longer. It really would have helped us.
I lost my job. I was sort of forced into retirement. I went from hoping I live a really long time to being worried that I will outlive my savings. It's not a great way to feel.
I tried to return to part-time work recently. No one's hiring, or if they are, they're not looking for people my age.
It's challenging to get a job when you're in your 60s.
I don't know if it's my age, but I rarely ever hear back from anybody.
I tried my best to look as young as possible. I don't feel very marketable at this point.
Honestly, I think they really don't want an old guy who's going to have to take a day off to go to the doctor.
I had a college degree and great office skills, but employers wanted a cute 20-something at the front desk.
Okay, so as you can see, these are very, very valid and important considerations that these people are talking about. That the first woman, it doesn't seem like she took into consideration, or maybe she did and she decided to retire anyways. They're saying that she needs some purpose when you retire. They're saying that if you do need to go back and get a job, it's difficult because a lot of companies don't want to hire someone who's older in age. They're saying a lot of things that the first woman maybe had not considered, or maybe she did, and now that she's retired at 56 and a half, it may be difficult for her in the future whenever she's collecting Social Security and it's not that much, or she doesn't have that much put into investments because she stopped working early, or because she has a hard time getting another job because she's older in age and companies are maybe not wanting an older person. So it's just, you have to be careful whenever you retire early, obviously, because of all these different considerations that these people are talking about.
Listen, I'm 59 years old, and I don't know when this hit me, but there was a time, there was a certain point in my life where I realized, hey, this is what it is. This is as good as it gets. You're basically you're in this system. You have to suck it up. You have to suck up to your bosses. You have to do things you don't want to do every day. Work for people you don't want to work for every day. That's the way it is. There's nothing else you could do. That's it. And maybe if you're really lucky, you have enough at the end of it all, where you don't, you have enough to live, that they're not going to throw you in some nursing home, God forbid. Because I saw that happen to my parents, God rest their souls. That's it. These amazing dreams you had as an 18, 19, 20-year-old, they're not going to happen.
So as you can see, his situation is the same as the first woman's situation, but instead of retiring early, he just kind of resolved himself to the fact that, hey, I'm not really going to be able to retire. Maybe not early, maybe not ever. He's saying that he's just going to resign to working for some company that he hates and a job he doesn't like. And he says he just has to grit and bear it. That's the perspective he has versus the first woman's perspective, which is, you know what? I don't like what I'm doing. I'm not going to suffer any longer. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm worn out. I'm going to retire early and I'm going to live poor. So it's two different sides of the same coin, essentially. They're both saying they can't really afford to retire. It's just that one person chooses to do it anyways and try to skip by, and the other person says, you know what, it's just how life is, and we have all these dreams when we're young and aspirations, and hey, one day we'll be able to retire and enjoy ourselves, but in actuality, that's never going to happen, and we're just going to have to continue to work for the man, essentially. Neither one of those situations sound that great, but it is just two perspectives from the same type of situation.
The number one reason people retire with no money is not because of rate of return, and it's not because of the fees. It's because they don't put any freaking money in retirement. The truth of the matter is that the research indicates that getting people to invest is the primary thing you do first. The second thing you do, if they want to win, is the rate of return that they make on their money. The last thing that's an indicator of whether they end up with money is fees.
Okay, so a potential counter argument to what the first two people were saying about how they can't afford to retire, and one did it anyways and was poor, the other one said, I'm just going to work until I can't anymore. They're basically saying, Dave Ramsey anyway is saying, he's saying people don't put enough aside in retirement accounts to be able to afford it when they do retire. That's his idea. He's saying that it's not fees, it's not anything else. It's primarily that people don't put money into their retirement accounts, which, I mean, that's one argument, but some people have a different side of the story, which is that they don't make enough to put money into retirement, says this guy.
They tell us to just invest. But how do you invest when you can't even afford groceries? Just save 10% of your paycheck. Pay yourself first. Invest early and you'll retire rich. That advice only works if you have money left over to save. Groceries doubled, rent and mortgage unaffordable, utilities, gas, taxes through the roof. Every dollar today is spent just trying to survive. There's nothing left to invest. Just save and invest.
I've heard a story about this janitor, right, a custodian, and he worked as a custodian for 30, 40 years, and no one knew he was rich. He put his money away, he invested every penny that he could, he lived very frugally below his means. I don't think he had a family, and this was a while back. And when he finally passed away, people in his family realized he was a multimillionaire. He had like $2, $3, $4 million put away into investment accounts. And that's a heartwarming, feel-good story that anybody with any level of income can invest and retire. The thing is about that story is he lived a very, very meager lifestyle. He put all of his money that he could into investing and didn't really live a lifestyle that most people would consider really living. Not to mention, as I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, he didn't have a family to take care of. Not to mention, he wasn't dealing with the same level of inflation we are now, with interest rates being high as they are now, with the cost of food being as high as it is now. So if you're a person that earns the median income in the US or Canada or wherever you're at, it's going to be difficult to have money left over at the end of the day after you pay for all these expenses to invest. So yes, Dave Ramsey might have a point to where, listen, the number one predictor of having investments when you retire is to put money into investment accounts. Like, seems like a no-brainer. The issue is that some people don't have enough money each month to even put aside to invest. That's the issue. And so what do? Do you do what the first woman did and retire early anyways and just live poor, as she said, because you know what? I'm tired of doing this. I'm gonna just treat myself. I'm gonna do things I enjoy. I'm not gonna slave away and not know when it could be the end. Or do you do what the second guy did and you just resign yourself to say, this is how the world is. This is how it is. I'm gonna keep working because I can't afford to retire. Even though I don't enjoy what I'm doing, I'm gonna be a slave to the man, so to speak. Which side do you take? And if you're like this guy, you're working and maybe I don't know what situation is specifically, but he's saying that he would like to invest, but he just simply can't because he doesn't make enough money. So what do you do when you can't afford to retire, but you want to retire? It's a tough question. Let me know what you think in the comment section. With that being said, if you stuck around this far, I really appreciate you. Please feel free to give the video a like and to subscribe if you feel so too inclined, because I would greatly appreciate it and it will help the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, make smart financial decisions.